Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
A swing and a drive to deep right, away back, goal! What?
Cleveland! This is for you!
Touchdown, Ohio State. And Curry has to back off as James throws it down.
Miller is loose, spin move! Miller headed for the end zone!
Off initially, he's going to take a shot. Has some man under it. Has his man Kaiser. Perfectly thrown pass to Gordon. Touchdown, Cleveland.
All right, everybody, welcome on into a brand new edition of the Real Sports Talk Show. Like always, I'm your host, Paul Jacobak. We do have a special guest in today. Kevin Rosser is going to be joining us. Go ahead, Kevin, say hello to the wonderful fans.
How's it hanging, people? Paul's been teasing my appearance for quite some time now.
It's hard.
Finally able to get on.
It's hard to get in when everybody's working, doing all kinds of shit. So, but it is nice. We finally got Rosser on. We have a double show today. We're doing both of these are hopefully going to get released tomorrow. Foisey's got some stuff going on. So we're doing a little spring training sports talk here today in the first episode. And then the second one, we're going to jump into Rosser's great opinions on your Cleveland Browns.
They are. Otherwise, you wouldn't have me on.
Exactly. So to open it up, we're going to go ahead, jump into some Cleveland Indians talk. Indians just had their first spring training game yesterday. Pitchers and catchers reported about a week ago, and they had their first spring training game yesterday against the Cincinnati Reds. And the new acquisition, Yonder Alonso, hit a home run in his first at-bat on the first pitch. What do you think about the acquisition, Rosser?
Well, he definitely passed the initial eye test.
Okay.
It really is hard to judge, especially on the first game, let alone spring training in general.
Right.
You really do have to take the stats with a huge grain of salt.
Okay.
Each pitcher only got in an inning of work, and the main guys weren't even on the mound. You didn't have Tomlin, you didn't have Kluber, Salazar, obviously.
I don't even think they had any of their big bullpen guys go yesterday at all. They're still. I know Miller had the flu, so Andrew actually just pitched yesterday in a regular bullpen session for the first time in a couple days because he had the flu. I know today's starter, as they're playing again today, I don't remember who the starter was. It's just some random guy, but. With the way that spring training does work, it does suck. You don't get to see the regular everyday guys, but you do get to see some guys that are up and coming, like a Bobby Bradley. You get to see the Francisco Mejias, and you get to see a whole different, lineup mixed in with some veterans. Like Yonder was playing yesterday. He's off today. I think Lindor played yesterday. He's off today. They said Kipnis, who did have, was it a lower back? It's something with his back, I think. He's getting his first game in on Sunday.
Got Rajay Davis back in Indians jersey.
Rajay Davis
Always
is back. And how happy are you when you found out that news?
I was elated, but then I was taken aback that it was a minor league deal. I do think by the end of the year he will be called up to the main.
You don't think he's going to be on the opening day roster?
I don't think he's going to be on the. Well, it depends how well Bradley progresses, how well Kipnis progresses with his injuries. He might just fill in a bench spot, or he might be asked to get into the rotation from the ground running.
That's what sucks, though, is we have so many people in that outfield. Because if you don't remember, we did sign Melvin Upton. We have him out there. You have Michael Brantley, who's making his return. You signed Rajay Davis. You have Chisenhall. You got Zimmer, who's coming off the injury last year when he broke his hand?
Yes.
Yeah, he broke his hand. So we have a whole cluster of outfielders, but when it comes down to it, I still think that what do you think your weakest position is on this team? And I'll tell you mine. And then how do you think you could fill it? Because my whole thing is I know full well that we can get rid of this person, move some people, and we're going to be solid.
I wouldn't say it's the weakest position, but definitely going into the regular season, I have more questions about the starting rotation than anything else.
Starting rotation?
Because you do have Kluber and Tomlin.
Salazar.
coming back. Salazar, he's
Bauer.
gonna be iffy. Bauer is the big X factor.
Bauer, okay.
Can he come back this season and prove that last year was not a fluke?
Okay.
Because he did have great stretches,
And then he had- right,
exactly
his
he had
ugly stuff,
stretches
right,
where
right.
he fell apart. And that's in his MO for his entire professional career to date. Can he take that next step forward and establish
And
himself
finally become himself a real pitcher in this league.
and establish himself firmly in the rotation to where we can have another guy to rely on come
Right.
October?
Right. I personally think the weakest part, I do agree with you on the pitching that it is. I have a question mark, and that's because Mickey Callaway's not here. Mickey Callaway was here. I have full confidence in that pitching rotation.
Yes.
Now, my biggest concern is second base. I don't think Kipnis has it anymore. My biggest thing was you have to get rid of Kipnis. You put Jose at second base, and you have you either go out and get a third baseman, or you finally give Yandy the job, or you give Gio the job, whatever it is, and you go from there. Because we're not signing a Manny Machado, which I know everybody wishes we could, but right now, just for what it is, I just don't think Kipnis has it, and it's getting rid of a lefty bat. You're putting a switch hitter in his position who's already in the lineup, and you're putting a guy who they may not be able to, like, that's the thing is the difference between those two in Urshela and Yandy is Yandy can hit, but his fielding is Gio can't hit, but his fielding is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can morph them together, then you're sending Kipnis on his way. But right now, we just really can't do anything. Kipnis is going to have to play, and we're going to have to go from there.
That's why it's so disappointing that we can't get a Machado deal going through, because he is that complete third baseman.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
He would absolutely make us World Series favorites if we got him.
He's got the range. He's got the bat. He's got the arm. He's got the baseball. I mean, the guy's a 5-tool stud.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, it's just we don't. We're in it to win it, but I don't think a 1-year rental because he only has 1 year left on his contract. A lot of people saying that he's probably going to try and go to New York next year, and they're going to build another super team again next year because don't forget, next year you have him hitting the market. You have Bryce Harper hitting the market. So it's going to be a huge offseason next year in the free agent world unless people start resigning.
Miller hitting the
Andrew Miller will be, yes.
That is
Andrew Miller. Do we resign him? Do you see it?
Here's the thing. It really does depend how we're looking into mid to late July.
Okay.
Because if we are firmly entrenched in first place and we truly feel like this is our year, this is the year that we're going to push it, and we're finally going to get that World Series title.
Which I cannot wait because I want a new tattoo.
It has been 70 full years. Well, 70-year anniversary since 48.
Well, it's got to be this year then. I mean, if you went back and I told you that we're in 2016, we were going to go up against the Cubs, it was going Game 7, all or nothing. What would you have said in the world? What would you have said if I told you that at the beginning of the year?
I would have just been happy for the postseason experience.
Just to get there.
Yes.
Okay.
To get there and to know that who did we face in the divisional round? Was it the Yankees?
No, we took out Boston.
We took out Boston, and then we played Toronto in the
Then
ALCS.
Toronto, yes, yep. And then we
Yeah.
took on the Cubs. Do you feel going into this year, do you feel more pressure on the Indians than last year? Do you feel less pressure? I mean, right now, because last year it was they got to win the World Series. They were just in the World Series last year. We were, in a half inning away or a rain delay away from winning the World Series.
Absolutely.
And then we go out and we get bounced in the first round by the Yankees, who got better this year.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you just seen JD Martinez sign a big contract with the Red Sox. And so far, everybody's done everything, but nobody in our division. So, what do you think that the end of the year, where do you see, we've only seen one spring training game. So, what are your predictions? Do we win the division? Do we win the AL? What do you think? What are we going on? What's going on?
Well, if we take a look at the rest of the division, we can discount the Tigers right off the bat.
Yeah, they're in full rebuild. Full rebuild.
They
Full
have
rebuild.
fallen off of a cliff, and they will very, very likely get close to, if not surpass, 1,000. 100 losses. It's going to seem like 1,000.
It might.
Detroit
I mean, it's
fans.
going to be bad for Detroit fans. I feel bad for you guys. It's going to be what we've seen for the past couple of years before this. You know, it's some rough stuff. Believe us.
If Byron Buxton continues on his upward trend, I can
Right.
definitely see the Twins hanging in the mix,
Making a little bit of a run.
perhaps grabbing a wild card spot.
Okay, like last year they did. That was phenomenal. I was very surprised that they did make the playoffs last year. That was really cool to see because a lot of people kind of downgraded the Central and they were saying, you know, the Central's. But I mean, we put two teams in the playoffs and both of them did get bounced by the Yankees. But I mean, it was still nice to see that the Twins, who have always kind of been like that lower tier team in our division, finally, you know, you didn't really think that they would have it. You know, their big teams were with Mauer and Morneau, and now they just have an old Mauer, but he's still getting the job done at an old age.
Yeah.
And they were able, you know, they got Barrios on the mound, and they have Buxton out in center. I mean, they're a pretty solid team, but I think that they'll be in it at the end. I don't think that they'll fall off. I think they'll be kind of in it.
The White Sox are going to be mediocre. They'll probably finish around 500. The real X factor is going to be the Royals. If you asked me a week ago how I thought the Royals would finish, I would say they'd get around 90, 95 wins. I feel like the hangover from the World Series would have waned off by now. But now you have Eric Hosmer going to San Diego.
Hosmer's gone. They still have Mike Moustakas is still a free agent,
Yes.
and I think I think a pitcher left them. Now I don't remember where they finished last year, but I know it wasn't that good. I know it was, you know, they were towards the end of the year. They were kind of still on that like edge of fighting for a playoff spot for that wild card, and then they kind of came into Cleveland when we were on that winning streak. When we kind of beat them, and it was funny because I'm pretty sure the last game we won, the 22, that was what knocked them out of playoff contention, and then the very next day, when we were going for 23, they end up beating us, and it was, you know, their season was already over. But I mean, their catcher Drew Patera really looked like he won the World Series after they beat us. But
Yeah, Royals ended up finishing third in the division with
Third.
80 and 82. I honestly thought they were going to bounce back this season, but having that huge piece of your lineup move out west,
Gold Glover,
Gold Glover, very good bat as well, and a very underrated base runner as well. You got to remember, when they won the series in 2015
against the Mets,
the Mets,
he had a huge play.
and not just that play, but the entire postseason in general, their MO was being able to run the bases better than any team in the majors.
Right,
That's
right.
how they got so many runs.
And then we
Not from
flipped
big
the
bats.
switch.
Exactly.
And then we flipped the switch, and we signed Rajay, and we signed all these guys that could get on the bases and stuff like that. So what did the Indians finish? What was the Indians' official record last year?
Last year they finished 102 wins and 60 losses. I'm saying something similar.
Something similar.
Maybe not quite 100 wins, but
Over or under 90 wins?
Over. For
Over
sure.
win,
Over
okay.
90. They will still win the division. Twins are still a year or two away from contending for the actual Central Crown. Royals are... I can see them being absolutely blown up at the trade deadline.
Okay.
If they're not going to get
Anybody
anywhere,
who's still on their team, okay.
everyone is going to be for sale. And the White Sox and Tigers are going to be non-factors
Okay.
this year. But I do still feel like the Indians are going to win the division. It depends who they match up with in the divisional round.
In the divisional.
As far as record goes, if they match up with a team from, say, the AL East, if they get the Yankees again or the Red Sox, it's going to be a tough 5-game series.
It
will
be.
go 5 games again.
It's going to come down to pitching, I think. That's what I think the hitting will almost cross itself out in that series between whoever they face. It comes down to Well, except for if they play the Yankees. I think the Yankees hitting is far more, they have way more power.
Oh, yes.
But I think that the Indians pitching in their bullpen versus the Yankees that's going to be your matchup. Now, before we end the show, what is your final prediction? Do they make it into the series? Do they win the series? Do they get bounced in what round? What is it? Where are you saying they're going? The 2018 Cleveland Indians finish blank.
The 2018 Cleveland Indians, for as long as they will still be called the Indians, who knows how long.
They're going to be called the Indians forever, hopefully, because
That's a topic for another day.
Yes.
We'll certainly get to that.
hell yeah, we will.
They will win the American League Central.
Okay.
Depending on matchups, they will, at the very least, make it a 5-game series in the divisional series.
Okay.
I honestly don't have full confidence in them getting to the World Series. The Astros have every single major piece coming back from that team last year.
Okay.
They're still young. Most of them are in their prime, really, if you think about it.
So
And-
you're saying they're going down to the Astros in the ALCS?
It depends who has home field.
I think the
It
Astros would.
It will be Astros Indians in the American League Championship.
Oh, you're saying
Series.
it will be?
That I know for sure.
Okay.
I have more confidence in the Astros going to the World Series than I do the Indians.
Okay.
However, either team could go, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay.
National League is a complete
That's why
crapshoot.
that's different. That's so different than the American League this year.
But here's the thing. People are making a big deal about Yu Darvish going to the Cubs,
Right.
completely forgetting that he was handing out cookies in the World Series.
Yeah, he was pretty rough watching
He
him.
looked completely cooked.
Yeah, it was pretty. He looked like he had a dead arm the entire series. It really did. He didn't look like he had a live arm.
No.
That is going to be it for the spring training edition of the Real Sports Talk Show with Kevin Rosser today. We are going to go ahead and hop on to the next one right after this. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Like always, we hope that you guys can give us some good feedback on the shows. Let us know if you really liked Rosser being on the show. We are definitely trying to get him into some more shows either soon, later. It doesn't really matter, but hopefully soon. And hopefully we can actually get him to be a part of the show and do a two-man show instead of just doing a solo show all the time. But like always, give us some feedback, give us some love, whatever it is. And until the next show, we'll see you then.